So today, we're jumping into a really powerful tool from Florence Scovel Shinn's The Game of Life. It's a concept called denials, and it's all about taking back control of your inner world. But first, let me ask you this. What hidden script is running your day? I mean, really think about it. It's kind of wild, but research suggests that almost half of everything we do every single day is just habit. We're often just running on autopilot, guided by these unconscious thoughts and reactions we've built up over years.
So in this explainer, that's our first goal. We're going to pull back the curtain and actually take a look at that hidden script. Bring those automatic internal stories into the light so you can see them clearly.
Then, once we can see it, we're going to learn a simple but really powerful tool to challenge that script the moment it tries to take over.
And finally, we'll walk through a little practice you can start using literally today to begin writing a new, more intentional script for yourself.
Okay, so let's get into what Shinn actually means by denials. Now, this is not about sticking your head in the sand and ignoring reality. It's not pretending problems don't exist. It's an active choice to refuse a negative mental picture as the final word.
And this distinction is so important. Psychological denial is a passive defense mechanism. It basically says, nope, this isn't happening. Shinn's idea of a denial, though, is an active, empowering tool. It looks a situation right in the eye and says, I refuse to let this negative story have power over me. You see the difference? It's all about choosing your response, not ignoring the facts.
Shinn had this brilliant metaphor for this. She called our imagination the scissors of the mind, because it's always cutting out these little pictures that shape our reality. A denial is just you taking control of those scissors. You're not denying the event ever happened. Of course it did. You're denying the negative story you've automatically attached to it. So if you remember one thing, let it be this: deny the narrative, not the reality.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. This idea is about a century old, but it lines up perfectly with what modern neuroscience tells us about the brain. Let's look at the science that explains why this actually works. The key concept is neuroplasticity, and all that means is that your brain isn't fixed. It's not set in stone. It can physically change and rewire itself based on your thoughts and experiences. So those mental grooves Shinn was talking about, yeah, they're actual, physical neural pathways in your brain.
I love this analogy. Think of your thoughts like water. The more you repeat a thought, the deeper the channel it carves in your brain. That strengthens a neural pathway. Now, when you use a denial, you interrupt that flow. You're essentially building a dam. You stop feeding that old pathway, which allows it to get weaker over time while you start carving a brand new, more intentional one.
Okay, that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in day-to-day life? Let's move this from an idea to a practical tool with a few common scenarios.
All right, first up, the workplace. You open your inbox and bam, there it is. That email with some critical feedback from a colleague or your boss. What's that instant automatic script that starts playing in your head?
For many of us, that automatic script leads to what psychologists call cognitive fusion, where you and the thought become one and the same. They disrespected me, but using a denial creates a little bit of space. It creates diffusion. You separate yourself from the thought. I deny this is a personal attack. That tiny shift lets you see it for what it is, just feedback, and lets you respond with solutions instead of just reacting to problems.
Okay, let's try another one that I think we can all relate to. A good friend, who's usually pretty responsive, suddenly goes quiet. They seem distant. What's the first story your mind starts to tell you?
Right, the automatic script just jumps to the worst possible conclusion. It fills that silence with a negative story. I must have done something wrong. But a denial stops that story cold. I deny the story that silence means rejection. It's a way of reminding yourself that you don't actually have all the information, which keeps you from reacting to a fiction you just made up.
And for our last example, let's look at habits. You're trying to make healthier choices, but then you see that snack sitting on the counter. What's the automatic script that runs then?
Well, usually there isn't even a script, is there? It's just a pure, automatic habit loop. You see the cue, you start the routine, no thought required. A denial acts like a pattern interrupt. It's like hitting the pause button. Just mentally saying, I deny this automatic impulse, creates a tiny gap. And that pause, that's everything. It's the space where you can consciously choose to do something different.
So, you're probably thinking, how can I start using this right away? Well, here is a very simple, very practical exercise we can call the denial reset.
It's a simple three-step process. First, just notice the automatic thought or feeling as it comes up. No judgment, just awareness.
Step 2, mentally deny its authority. You could say, I deny this thought has power over me, or this is just an old script playing. You're not fighting it, you're just unplugging it. And third, replace it. Intentionally shift your focus to a more constructive thought. The whole point is to move from that automatic reaction to an intentional action.
And that's really the heart of this entire idea. It's the realization that we have the power to become the conscious editors of our internal stories. Our thoughts aren't facts, and those automatic reactions, they aren't who we are.
By using a simple tool like a denial, you create that little bit of space you need to choose your response, to choose your focus, and ultimately to choose how you feel. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what new story will you write today?
Think of it this way. Denials are all about clearing the unwanted weeds from the garden of your mind. But once that space is clear, what are you going to plant there? Well, that is exactly what we'll cover in our next explainer on the law of substitution. You can find it in the full series playlist. Thanks for joining me.